All right. So, welcome to this first edition of our vlog. No? So, ito yung parang marami na nag-vlog about uh, the Philippine stock market. And yeah, dagdagan natin kung meron man tayong insights na bago na pwede i-share. No? So, dito sa Balangay Trader, tingnan natin kung ano pa yung ibang pwede natin maitulong dun sa investors or traders. So, I'm a bit biased because kasi ako is profile ko is long-term investor. But nevertheless, it's just an update no, kung what is happening in the market right now. So for the last 5 days or 2 weeks, shall we say, no? So foreigners actually keep coming back to the market already. So if you look at the um, this graph here, so it's not the FMDF, but it's PSEI. So we kind of bounce back no, from this low here in 61. So it's around closed at 6,164, and now it bounced back as of June 4. We already bounced back to 6,796. So ilang percentage na yan. See, it's about 10.34% from that time na foreigners kind of like pulled the market up, right? But if you look at this table also, so medyo konti lang yun, may negative pa rin. Tapos medyo lumabas sila. Ito kasi yung net foreign buying, no? So we'll see na medyo bumaba. And then lately, the last 2 3 days this week, no, basically this week we have positive net foreign buying. So ₱1 billion each day, no, from the last 2 trading days. Well, ang nakikita natin, so there is confidence from the foreign buyers na bumalik na sa Pilipinas because of the improvement and management of the vaccine. At the same time, yung nakikita nilang Bayanihan 3, no, which will provide funds to the economy. So yeah, so it's a good sign. If you look back at how many months we've been like coming from a high, going down to from the very beginning of this year, like there was a positive sign of continuing on with this upper trend, but then suddenly the market like kind of go back no, to this loss that we have here. And if you look at this kind of situation right now, so something of good news now, and hopefully we can go back to where we were supposed before. No? So at this level, level to 7,300. So this is for the PSEI market, and time will tell now if this is gonna be sustainable. So of course, for so many days, ito pakonti-konti yung merong akyat, malakas yung akyat, led by foreign buyers, and then of course yung iba they're trying to take opportunity of selling their positions. So medyo tayong parang ito nga parang nakikita natin na merong ano no na mag-retrace konti. Tapos after retracing, dinadrive ulit ng foreigners. No? So dito natin nakita. So there's a possibility, but time will tell, no, in terms of this kind of action that we have here. So if you look back at the RSI as well, ano bang nakikita natin sa RSI dito? So we are actually in a bullish trend already, no? And then kind of considered to be oversold. But we've seen things like this before. No? So if we go back here, ganito rin eh. So ganito rin, tapos bumalik, retraced back, and then times to recover. So balik ulit, and then it made it possible to really go up. No? So ganyan yung cycle din eh. So I think one of the reasons why we're improving is that in terms of the vaccination program of the countries, we're getting better cases going down in Metro Manila, but not in the provinces. So maybe kailangan lang natin ng additional pa, no, na mga catalysts. But if you look at the company earnings, the first quarter company earnings of the different companies, especially those in the index, you'll be surprised now because they have been declaring a lot of positive gains already. So if you look at the PSEI, so ito nga sinasabi natin na nasa overbought na tayo. So, but I do expect with the good news, meron talagang ano pa, meron pa talagang fuel na to make this go back to where we started early in the year. No? If you look back at early in the year, so this is a 1 year time frame. Medyo nandito pa tayo, and others might really take into account this one. So when I mentioned about companies already earning a lot of money, so if you look at this one example from Metrobank, Metrobank, so they also going back to 49.10. So this is the highest level since for the last 3 months. No, so this is the highest level after they announced a dividend here, a 4 peso dividend that is around equivalent to almost 8%. No? And then the price drop. But if you look at the company earnings, so in the first quarter, they're already like having a net income of a huge net income of 7.83 billion pesos. And if we compare that to 1 year ago, their first quarter annual income first quarter here, their income is just 6.31 billion, and now they're even hitting that at 7.83 billion. So this kind of index stocks are gaining, are back to their normal income performance. No? So, and then if we compare that even further to 2019, their first quarter income in 2019 is 6.93 billion. So despite the pandemic, so Metrobank still remains a very solid company, in terms of income generation. And I think that's one of the reasons why Metrobank was able to really kind of provide a very high dividend, because nobody's like in their business during the pandemic. There were a lot of income, but then nobody was like taking loans because of like they're afraid to get loans. So, and the issue for non-PL is not actually an issue, and yet Metrobank continues to gain money. And I do expect that if this continues to happen, Metrobank will still be able to like provide the same dividends in the future. It's a good investment. So yeah, so graph wise, if you look back, if you compare their performance right now, 6 months maybe they're not yet back at the position wherein they were before during the announcement of their dividend. But yeah, if you look at 2 years, no, prior to the pandemic, so Metrobank was positioning at this price. No? So if you're a long-term investor, I think this is a very good company to invest in, no, if you're a long-term investor. Kasi medyo marami ng mga ganitong videos na they really emphasize about short term, no, yung trading talaga. But if you're into investing, um, I think it's safe to, I don't know, recommend Metrobank. If you look kasi the performance of Metrobank, financials and the valuations, so the last price that closed yesterday is around 49.10%. So if you look at the Metrobank, no, if you go to the research, so you'll see that the PE ratio is still low, no? So it's still cheap compared to other companies. So price to book value is still 0.75. And if you look at the trailing 12 months dividend yield, that is 8.15% yung sinasabi natin. So this index fund is yeah. So if you're a long-term investors, this is a very good company to invest in. So we're looking at so mga blue chip stocks. So Metrobank is part of the blue chip stocks. And if you're thinking about investing in Metrobank, and then if you wait for another year or 2 years, and perhaps the investors will continue to rally, led by the foreign buyers. So you expect around, if you reach the same level as in 59 before, and if you buy now, perhaps just wait for 1 year to 2 years. So you'll be able to get a potential return of around 35%. So that's very high. Remember, guys, that the banks right now are providing interest really of point less than 1%, no, in terms of your return and the money that you put in the bank. Well, of course, there are always risks in terms of investing in a market if you're not emotionally prepared. For example, if you look at this graph, if you look at this graph, so yeah, so if those people bought here and then suddenly drops here and then continue to drop going down here, so immediately that's a pain to think about because you're losing around 15%. So here comes the attitude in terms of positioning yourself, your mindset in terms of thinking that this is a very good, for example, company. It's a very good example, hoping that, yeah, and not really hoping, but expecting that this will come back, because Metrobank is a very good company in terms of earning profit. All right. So if you look at the companies right now, so they've been earning. No? So I think if you go back also to like another company that is close to Metrobank, it's GT Cap. If you look at the first quarter earnings, no? So I think we need to be able to come up with um, first quarter earnings. No? So we'll just try to look into the performance of each of the index stocks right now. So the company's earning is around 5 billion pesos, no, from January to March this year, and I think they've went beyond. No, so with the with the pandemic already. No, so comparing that to their last year performance, let's see. So this is their annual income in 2019. All right. So there's no disclosure about the first. Here we go. And in terms of the first quarter income in 2020 is just 3.28 billion, and now what you have is 5 billion pesos. So basically, GTCAP has been able not to really increase their net income coming from last year to this year. And I think we will go continue that because of the, well, of course, the MSCQ, the GCQ, or the quarantine protocols are improving in Metro Manila. And if you look at this graph as well, this is also being driven, no, from the last 2 weeks, starting from, yeah. So if you have invested here in May 11, you have in May 14, it's been constant here. If you look at the closer graph, so we have a breakout, no, of the moving averages that we have. So if, yeah, so this is a very good sign. But of course, people are trying to take advantage. No? They're trying to sell here. Kailangan na nilang kita na. Lambawa yung mga tao dito, they kept on buying, especially here, coming here, and then they reach this stage. So 20%, that's big already. No? So people are selling. So that is for example, if you're a short-term investor, so you might want also to take profit from that. And if you want to look at the bigger picture, parang pabayaan mo lang siya if you're a long-term investor. So the potential is that you will be able to meet the price at around 669. So if you buy now, it's gonna be like around 15%. No? And if you're looking at the parang long term, so the opportunity is even bigger, no? Because the price of GT Cup during the pandemic, before the prior the pandemic, no? So they were hovering around 900 pesos, no more or less. And if you try to do some graph, if you invest today, so your money will have a potential of 55%. So yeah, this is a very good situation right now that even if the companies are now in this 5 billion income better than in last year, eh, better than 3.28 billion. So let's see the 2019 income. 2019 annual first quarter income nila is just 4.46 billion. No? So meaning to say malaki talaga kita ng ano ng GT Cup. No? So it's even better than 2019 and 2020. I think also that this stock is still cheap if you look at the valuations of GT Cup, right? So these are actually my favorite stocks. So still it's cheap, no? 1670 pesos. Their 12 months trailing P ratio. Tapos yung book ratio is also under 1 peso. This is 0.68. Although yung dividend yield is just 0.52%. So GT Cup dapat naman kayo magbigay ng mas malaking ano dividend, no? So hopefully they will be giving better dividend this time. So yeah, so this is the situation for GT Cup. But if you're a long-term investor, then just leave your money here and expect not to the situation of the country to go back to where we were before. No, siguro after everybody, most of us are vaccinated already. Everybody can go out again, just like what is happening in the US right now. So everything is going back to normal. So somehow we'll also go back to our original no, state sa PSE. Remember, we were very strong before the pandemic. So if you look at the 5 year ng PSEI, so nandito tayo no prior to the pandemic. So we're still here. So a lot of things to catch up. So ilan to? So we will be still be working out of this 16-17% pa. No? Malaki pa yan. No? So from the last 2 weeks, talagang bumawi tayo. No? So nasa around 8%. So more or less 8% yung growth natin the last 2 weeks. No? So bounce back. So parang nag-bargain hunting yung mga foreign buyers. Pumasok sila then pinataas nila yung market ulit. So if you look at closely, ito yun. Okay? There's still an opportunity for the Philippine Stock Exchange to go back to as high as 7,000. So analysts can actually like trying to look into the situation we're in the possibility of going back to 7,000 by the end of the year. So as many vaccines that will be inoculated no for the Filipinos, papalik tayo doon sa taas. So there's a trend, no? There's a trend that is happening in terms of the vaccine. Improvement on the market. So, halimbawa ito, if you look at here, so nandito tayo, no? So if you follow this graph, prior to the pandemic, actually there was an observation that the stock market is slowing down after we reach a 9,000 level. But we do think even the world economists still believe in the Philippine market to bounce back strong. No? It's just that we have a very good um, management. I think I do believe that we still have a very good management in terms of COVID, unlike what is happening in India right now. So I think we should be considerate about what the government is doing as well. So meron tayong ganitong situation. So hopefully this will go up pa, no? So we can meet still the 9,000. And I think after this, usually naman kasi may mga times talaga na bumabagsak yung market. No? If you look at this, during the 2009, no? So yun talaga yung nagpababa, no? So 2009 dito, no? So dito tayo. So, bumaba. Pero, grabe naman yung bounce pabalik. No? So, if you have a money here invested and just waited, even if during the pandemic, your capital is still here, no? If you look at other big companies, kasi titingnan natin yung mga malalaking companies, halimbawa SM right now. What is happening with SM, right? So SM is actually going back na rin. No? So during the first quarter, they're earning 13.45 billion pesos already. And compare that to when last year, their first quarter, 13 compared to 13, so more or less just the same. If you compare that to in 2019, their first quarter income is around 16 billion. So medyo malakas sila last time, no, compared to MT, GT Cup and Metromag. All right. So if you look closely and if you follow the indicators as well, so we're using about two indicators here, RSI and MACD. Um, the the foreigners are really like pushing this market up. If you look to SMPH, tingnan natin yung SMPH in terms of net foreign selling and buying. So malakas, no? Malakas na. So foreigners are back, no, in terms of buying this index. So I don't think you can expect some buyings in the second liner, third liners, but foreigners always go back to their favorite blue chips. No? So, for example, Jollibee. No? So, in how many weeks? In 2 weeks time, so nag-iipon na sila. No? So, bargain hiring. I think they the same guys who really push the price of Jollibee during October, no? So during October, sila yung nag-push din, no? If you look at this volume. Then they're trying to sell it down when I think nakita na nila marami nang sumakay. So they're trying to sell it down, sell it down, sell it down. So continue to sell it down. And then they felt that the price of Jollibee is low already, balik ulit. No? So yeah, so that's kind of happening as well. No? So um, yeah, so ganun talaga. SMPH, balik tayo sa SMPH. No? So wala pa naman. So okay pa rin naman yung RSI niya. GFC is nag-oversold na or overbought na, I mean. So wala. Ano pa ba? Yung ano kasi sikat is dito. Dito na tayo. So if you look at dito, medyo mahina yung volume eh. No? So dito lang malakas. Anong time na to? Ito yung napalita na si Dennis Uy, bibilhin niya yung Shell, no? Yung Malampaya. So I think that's the reason why it kind of bounced back. Yan. So ganon, baba ulit. And then what we're looking at is mababa pa yung RSI, no? Although it's in 50 already, but we're kind of observing na wala pa talagang masyadong malaking volume. No? So, ano yung in-expect in dito? Ano ba yung mga in-expect ka dito? So, ano ba yung catalyst ni dito? Kasi binanggit na yung binanggit na yung dito is available in several cities in the country, and then so ano pa ba yung maging catalyst niya? So parang investors are right now, no? So yung worth ng company is just simply around this. If we look at like Converge, tingnan natin yung Converge on similar technology. So kung titingnan natin yung graph na, it continues to like really increase na so for long term. So nakakatawang nga to kasi yung mga analyst, gaya ng mga taga-call, no, yung mga analyst ng call, sabi nila, so malaki to, mabigat to, elephants don't fly, but look at how really Converge, no? So managed to grow over time. So if you look at the Converge during the first, second day trading, ano ka talaga, parang kung ikaw yung investor, bumili ka during the IPO, masakit talaga ulo kasi during the first day pa lang, pinabagsak talaga agad eh. So yung iba naman na very opportunistic dito bumili. But in how many, kailan na ba to? November, October, no? October. So if those guys held on onto their money, so ano na, magkano na ba yung akyat nito? Dito lang, 46% na. So, yun. Minsan, dyan nakakainis din yung mga analyst sa mga malalaking company. Sige, sabihin ko na, taga-call. Yung mga analyst na mga call na, no, elephants don't fly. Pero tingnan mo to. No? And then, bakit ganito? Anong reason bakit yung Converge medyo lumaki? So, tingnan mo yung annual earnings nila last year, kahit na pandemic, 3.39 billion pesos. Tapos naglabas pa sila ng disclosure about first quarter, 1.55 billion pesos, and they're aiming for more subscribers, no? And then they're expanding their operations in the Visayas and Mindanao. So, kaya nga ako rin na sabi ko, well, this is a good company, it's growing, and marami pang progress. Kaya, yeah. So, guys, it's not, ano, no? It's not parang sabihin ko na I'm not guaranteeing na pag invest kayo dito, may kikita kayo dito. But if you look at long term, possibly, no? Possibly. So, I don't do well in the technical indicators, but look, parang samahan na natin is combination of fundamentals and technical indicators. So right now kasi titingnan mo RSI is very good. Although yung MACD niya, yeah, if you make it bigger here, yung MACD. Okay, yung MACD kasi hindi pa masyadong yan, hindi pa masyadong nagse-separate, but it's about to separate. No? So, okay naman yung RSI niya, above 50, no? If we look at this RSI, around 62. The good thing about this is more investors coming in because of its really growth. No? Imagine if this is gonna be 1.55 times 4. No? So, kung wala yung growth walang more subscribers, so we don't have more subscribers, so 155 lang times 4, so that's gonna be around 6 billion pesos. No? So after a year, so after a year, 6 billion compared to this 3.39 billion, nako, times 2, no? Yung ano nila, yung growth nila. So hanggang saan? Hanggang saan yung tawag nito? Hanggang saan tawag ng no, ng Converge, no? So akyat ng Converge. So if you look at Converge, so and then compared it with dito, guys. So if you compare it dito, so yung price nandito, ano ba yung price nandito? Nasa 9 pesos, no? Nasa 9 pesos yung dito. So bakit talaga agwat tapos yung dito walang income pa, no? So that's why there is some reservation. Tapos na kasi yung cycle ng dito sa let's see, no? Cycle na dito na sobrang napa-hype last time, no? Although marami tayong kumita. Marami tayong kumita sa dito. So napa-hype. So balik tayo dito ulit. So for us opportunistic, ito magandang ano to, area to consideration na to buy. So nag-iipon 'yan. So people nag-iipon dito, no? Kasi alam mo pag medyo mahaba the good thing kasi may potential din na aakyat na naman ulit lalo na pag mayroong mga magandang disclosures later on. Ganon din yung nangyayari, ilang buwan ba to? So if you look at this range here, matagal din, 80 days, no? So bago umakyat uli. no? Dahil doon sa mga ano na, ay, mag-aano na ulit yung dito, dito, dito ulit. So, ilang days na ba 'to na nandito tayo sa baba? Oh, to tamang-tama, no? This is ripe for any um, acceleration pataas, no? If you look at the MACD nasa 50, so more or less nandiyan sa gitna, no? So at least tapos na 'tong bagsak na 'to, no? So we're looking at pataas pa naman yung direction ng ano natin, parabolic SAR. No? So if you look at the parabolic SAR and then if you look at the EMA, taas pa naman sa EMA 200, EMA 100. So yung nakikita natin, EMA 100 ba yan? Okay, so parang kakatouch na lang yan sa ano, moving average na 50. Tapos yung yellow, EMA 50. So if you look at closely, tingnan natin ng maayos. No? So ang 50 kasi tinitingnan ko dyan ako, ano pag medyo lumampas na dyan, sige na, pwede na. Parang gano'n. No? Pero if you look at the parabolic SAR, okay parang naman din. So, ano pa ba? So, ano bang mga balita ng dito na ano? So, major cities. Isa pinakamalaking problema ng dito. Uh, they're not able to ano no, to provide services to the legacy systems. Ibig sabihin yung mga old technologies. Halimbawa, a lot of Filipinos are still using the old kind of cell phones kasi they don't have the capacity to buy for the more expensive cell phones na 5G capable. No? So marami pa rin. So I don't think that the dito can easily penetrate. No? So there must be something. That's why there must be something that they can parang provide. No? So provide a cell phone na it's capable of 5G pero it's a lower cost, no? So that the mass public can really buy cell phones na ano siya, no, mas mura. No? Kasi ngayon, kung titingnan mo yung profile ng 5G na cellphone siya, so yung 5G kasi, yun pa, yung mga top end pa ng Samsung, no, S20. So mahirap talaga, no? 5G, 4G, yung 4G at least. So mahirapan talaga sila mag-penetrate ng maraming customer. No? So meron tayong makikita mga medyo disappointed ngayon, no? Kasi they're still trying to get the get customer, parang customer acquisition phase pa sila. But the management, I think, needs to like really look into no, paano nila ma-serve yung majority of the population na legacy system who are still using the legacy system. Alright? So, yung kakambal naman na dito, yung C, ito nakikita natin yung mga ibang tao nagpo-post. So, si C naman, si Chelsea, kapatid to sila. If you look at the past year, sobrang hatak to. So, daming nakabenta dito, naka-take profit. No? And then, suddenly this year, bagsak, no? Coming from this point here in January 5, second day trading, I think to. Kasi January 4, umakyat pa. And then, bagsak ng bagsak ng bagsak. No? So, and then, napasama pa kasi yung annual revenue nila last year, negative 3.31 billion. No? So, average that by 4, so almost mga 600, 700 or 800 billion o 800 million pesos yung loss nila per quarter. Sabi ng management, they're actually now yung loss nila is around 218 million pesos na lang. So they're trying to manage. I think the good prospect about Chelsea is the continuing online e-commerce platform. So that's the good thing about Chelsea. So they have the opportunity, and I think they really have to bounce back. Technical indicators naman. So ito yung mga tinitingnan natin. So it actually came back from its low, no, na 2.67. So it's even touched to as low as 2.64. So ito bumalik 3.14 at the closing date. Titingnan mo rin yung 1 year during the pandemic, bumagsak talaga to. Kailan ba to? 2 years. Pinaka-lowest price niya nasa around 1.88. No? So, dito naman ngayon, dito lang siya sa 2.64. Yan. So I think there's something that the investors are looking at. No? Ang isang maganda kasi dito, uh, pag gano'n din, pag bumalik yung maraming taong bumabiyahe, eh, they will have additional income. Pero what they're relying upon is the income from shipping, no? Logistics talaga, lalo na yung sa Shopee, Lazada, no? So if they're not flown by airplane, mas cheaper kasi yung ano talaga din, by bulk yung tawag nito yung barko. So I think during their last report no sa disclosure nila, ang Chelsea talaga is they earn income coming a lot of their income coming from the shipping. No? So doon sila talaga mas mataas yung income. All right. So there's hope in this but remains to be seen no because nandito yung resistance kumbaga. So medyo malayo pa. So may shorter ano pa dito. So but this is cheap already. If you look at the 10-year or 5-year ano kasi, if you look at the 10-year graph, if you're a long-term investor, sabihin na natin na naipit ka dito sa 6. Dito ka bumili sa 6 tapos di mo na binenta. Ipit na lang yan. The good news is that the perceived value of Chelsea, even if they were losing money, kung titingnan mo yung average niya, so nandito sa talaga, no? So sa area na to, 522 pesos. Right? So if the business will go back better, no? Better yung business nila. Kasi in 2019, they shared some positive revenue naman, no? So, yeah, so until such time na ano na pandemic. So you just have to hold on, no? So pag pag long term talaga. Ang problema lang kasi pag dito yung ano, so yung projected ilang buwan. So siguro take it a year pa, 2 years. As reported by Chelsea kasi 1 year pa sila mag-positive. Ano pa bang ibang balita ng ano, magandang tingnan stocks? Merrimart, ito rin malakas last year. No? So what happened to Merrimart? Merrimart, magal natin yung ano ko. Uy, ba't ka lumabas doon? Dapat Chelsea. So di bali dito na. MM. Ayan. Okay. Technical indicator wise, so paakyat din naman, no? Pabalik. So it's above its EMA 200. Yeah, so it's above EMA, I think suppose 100. So let's say, let's make it bold. Tingnan natin. Yun. EMA 100. Ito yung 200. Kapal. Ayun. So it's above EMA 200. Tapos paakyat siya, no? Going towards the EMA 50. EMA 50. There you go. Yan. It's about to ano pa. But this is parang indecisive to na candle eh. So it might also go down. But if you look at the parabolic SAR, meron pa naman no? Until such time na pag bumagsak to tapos na-meet na naman. So backward time na naman. So ano yung mga catalyst ng Merrimart? Meron bang mga disclosure ng Merrimart? Hindi naman natin nakikita merong disclosure ng Merrimart recently. So quarterly report lang. No? So ang problema sa Merrimart, maliit yung income, 9.64 million lang. No? So how will investors really be investing kung ganito lang yung income? So I'm not even sure about the Merrimart's PE ratio. No? So titingnan yung PE ratio, sobrang laki. 1,176. Tapos price to book value, it's not really, I mean, it's good for trading, but if you're a long-term investors, medyo mahirap to, no? But maybe the more stores that they can put up this year, siguro mas aakyat pa yung ano nila, income. Okay, so they were able to really get as high as at this point, no? 8 pesos, 9 pesos. So if the investors really like push this, so potentially, kaya lang ito kasi yung mga hype area pa, no? Na kumbaga, sorry, ito yung mga hype area na so tapos na. Tapos na yung mga maliligayang araw. So dito, Mary Mart has to prove its worth. So in terms of income, gano'n. So medyo mahirapan na to umakyat ulit. So at that price. So ano ba yung yeah, so if we go back also to Converge pala, naalala ko, yung Converge kasi nasabi nilang elephant doesn't fly because mahal yung price tapos malaki yung market cap, no? Tingnan mo yung market cap, 153 billion pesos. So yung Converge business na yung services nila is into fiber lang. So makikita mo na compared to Globe, 153, no? Yung Globe naman, yung market cap niya, 245 pesos, no? So kung aakyat yung GT Cap to, I mean, the Converge to 40 pesos, aabot na sila, no? Sobrang laki. Aabot na sila sa tawag nito, sa Globe na market capitalization. So kung ang Globe is may shares outstanding at 300 million, marami kasi itong Converge eh. 7 billion, no? Kaya ito yung sinasabing mabigat paliparin. No? So, problema sa Converge, wala pa tayong PE ratio dito. So, dapat meron tayong available. Mataas pa nga yung PE, price to book value ratio nila. No? So, income-wise still, people are investing kasi din sa anong tinatawag nito. Yung ano nila, yung future prospect. Yan. So, meron tayong iba't ibang ano bang ibang sikat na yung PHA sa palaging nire-review nila. So, ganun din. So, parang profile dito ng MM, ng Dito, ng Chelsea. Pare-pareho talaga itong mga profile na to. So, parang at least dito, kahit yung income, wala rin. No? So, ganun rin. So, technical. Tingnan natin yung technicals. Ganun din. Ganun din sa dito. Layo. Ano pa ba? FHA. So, pero very impressive yan. Kasi nakita ko yung ABS-CBN, yung GMA. No? Layo nang inabot na ng GMA. No? So after that, ilan na to? 9.53 na? Kasi tingnan mo naman yung dividend. Magkano to during this time nung binigay nila. No? Nag-announce sila ng dividend. So this is April 19, 135. So, dito yan. No? Ilang percent yan? So 11. Okay, over 10% ata to eh. So, maraming bumili kaya umakyat. No? Hanggang ngayon, umakyat na rin. So, kung long-term investor ka talaga, dito ka bumili, no? So, ilan na yan? 85%? Yan, 85%. So, basically, yung tinuturo natin is for the long term talaga, no? Kasi yung iba kasi, dito bumili. Nakita lang umakyat na ganito kataas. Oh, oo nga din naman, okay din naman. 16%, kita na, ayos na. No? So, benta ka agad, okay na rin yun. No? But for long term, yung mga nag-abang-abang, so yung return, ganito kalaki, 87. So, kasi pag minsan kasi, okay, may mga technique din na okay yun, no? Bumenta dito, tapos bili dito, benta naman ulit dito. Kaya lang maliliit na percentage to eh. So, pero kung malaki yung volume na binibenta mo, binibili, benta, okay lang. Kasi yung mga trader kasi, yung mga call na yan, malaki pera, malalim yung bulsa. So, kaya nila talagang ganyan lang, benta ka agad, benta ka agad. So tayo naman yung mga investors, kumbaga traders at the same time, pero more or less ang profile investor kasi if you don't have money anymore to invest, yan na. Hanggang doon lang. So yung technicals nito, grabe. So ang question, hanggang saan to? O, tingnan mo naman yung earnings, 2 billion in one quarter. So parang ang price nga nito, ano ba yung mga companies ngayon nag-i-earn ng 2 billion, no? So dapat kasi malaki na to, 2 billion pesos on net income. Halimbawa yung isang Wilcon company, favorite din ng mga foreigner to. Kikita mo yung Wilcon na the price is already 18 pesos, no? Because they value this company because of this their growth, no? And then their income is just around 600. So you compare that to GMA, yung price niya is at 9 pesos. So yung income nito mababa pa doon sa price ng GMA. If you look at their market cap siguro, if you can compare that also, GMA 7, market cap niya is around 32 billion. Wilcon naman, market cap is yun, pareho lang. Pero yung Wilcon mahal na, 43 na yung PE ratio. Tapos yung GMA 7 for sure. Mura kasi laki ng income. Oh, yan. 12 months PE ratio 10.68. So, ganyan yung market. I'm sorry. Wow. So, maganda yung bawi ngayon ng PSEI. So, at least tigil yung downtrend. So, malakas kasi yung downtrend. I'm sorry. So, malayo pa, habulin, 7.2. Tapos kung titingnan mo yung 5 years, dito pa dapat, nasa 7.9. So actually, 8,000, umabot pa tayo ng 8,000 in 2019. Kala ko nga, abot to ng 2020. I mean, around 9,000. Pero, based on the growth of the economy ba, may potential talaga na aabot yan ng 9,000. So if you're buying now, just hold on to it. So pwede rin. Until sa time bumalik yung Pilipinas. Alright, I think that's it. Alright. Bye-bye for now.